Echo was an Oread, a nymph who lived on Mount Cithaeron in Greek mythology. She was a kind and gentle soul who always looked out for others. One day, Zeus, the king of the gods, came down to earth and spent time with the beautiful nymphs. However, his wife, Hera, became suspicious of his affairs and decided to catch him in the act. Echo saw that Zeus was in trouble and tried to protect him from Hera's wrath. But Hera was not fooled and punished Echo severely. From then on, Echo could only repeat the last words that were spoken to her, a curse that left her unable to communicate in any other way. As Echo wandered through the forest, her curse began to weigh heavily on her heart. She felt lonely and isolated, unable to connect with anyone or anything. Then, one day, she met Narcissus, a handsome young man who was known for his beauty. Echo was immediately smitten with Narcissus and longed to express her love to him. However, her curse made it impossible for her to speak her true feelings. Narcissus, on the other hand, was completely absorbed with his own beauty. He would often gaze into the water and admire his reflection for hours on end. Echo watched as Narcissus became more and more obsessed with his own beauty. She tried to get his attention, but he was so wrapped up in himself that he didn't even notice her. Eventually, Narcissus died of a broken heart, having fallen in love with his own reflection. Echo was devastated by the fate of the man she loved. Her tragedy serves as a warning about the perils of unrequited love and the dangers of vanity. In the end, Echo became nothing more than a faint voice, repeating the words of others, never able to express her own true feelings. In ancient Greece, there was a goddess named Juno who was married to Jupiter. She was always suspicious of her husband's affairs with other women and always tried to catch him in the act. But one day, a nymph named Echo managed to distract Juno with long conversations whenever she was about to catch Jupiter. However, when Juno finally found out the truth, she was furious and cursed Echo. From then on, Echo could only repeat the last words of someone else. Despite her curse, Echo fell in love with a young man named Narcissus whom she had watched while he was out hunting with his companions. Echo followed Narcissus closely, but her curse prevented her from expressing her love for him. One day, when Narcissus became separated from his companions, he called out to see if anyone was there. Echo, who was hiding nearby, repeated his words back to him. They started to converse, and Narcissus even asked her to come to him. Echo was overjoyed, but when she finally revealed herself to Narcissus, he was repulsed by her. Narcissus rejected her, and Echo's love for him only grew. When Narcissus died, consumed by his own reflection, Echo mourned over his body. As he said his last words, "I love you in vain, farewell," Echo echoed them back and eventually faded away, leaving only the sound of her voice behind. Today, all that remains of Echo is the sound of her voice. Her beauty faded, her skin shriveled, and her bones turned to stone. Thus, her story became a tragic tale of unrequited love and a reminder of the power of curses and the dangerous consequences of jealousy. Daphnis and Chloe were out enjoying the beautiful scenery when Chloe heard an unfamiliar sound. An echo was bouncing off the nearby valley, but Chloe was confused and didn't understand what it was. Daphnis saw how she was struggling to comprehend the sound, so he made her an offer she couldn't refuse. He promised to tell her the story of Echo in exchange for 10 more kisses. Daphnis began to recount the tale of Echo and how she was raised among the nymphi because her mother was a nymph. Although Echo was mortal, her exceptional musical talent made her the envy of the gods. Pan, the god of forests, became envious and drove the men of the fields mad. They turned into wild animals and tore Echo apart, scattering fragments of her body across the earth. Fortunately, Gaia, the goddess of earth, favored the nymphi and hid Echo's remains within herself to provide a shelter for her music. At the muse's command, Echo's body still sings and imitates the sounds of anything earthly with perfect likeness. Daphnis added that Pan himself often hears the sound of his own pipes and searches in vain for the student he can never find. Chloe was captivated by the story and gave Daphnis the 10 kisses he had requested. From that day on, the beautiful echoes they heard reminded them of Echo's tragic tale and how her music still echoes on the earth. Pan, the Greek god of the wild, hunting, and music, was hopelessly in love with Echo, a beautiful nymph. He would often chase her across the mountains, trying to catch her secret voice, as mentioned in the Homeric and Orphic hymns. Despite his constant pursuit, Echo never returned his love, according to Nonnus Dionysiaca. Photius Bibliotheca suggests that Pan's love for Echo was not entirely his fault. According to Codex 190, Aphrodite placed this love in his heart because of his verdict in a beauty contest. During the Great Deluge, Echo was forced to swim even high on the hills, according to Nonnus' account. She worried about the advances of Poseidon after escaping from Pan. However, other sources paint a different picture. In Apuleius the Golden Ass, Pan is depicted as holding Echo in his arms and teaching her to sing all sorts of songs. The Suda also mentions that Echo bore Pan a child named Iynx and a second daughter, Iambe. Regardless of the conflicting stories, Echo played a significant role in Pan's life. He was completely captivated by her and pursued her unceasingly, even if his affections were not returned.
Do you want to explore more Greek mythology stories? Who do you want to see featured next? Subscribe and leave a comment below to let me know. I'll see you in the next video.